Hello, everyone. I'm Dina.
And I'm Charlotte. Welcome to the Grim Curriculum Extra Credit.
Hello.
Hello, hello.
How are you today?
I'm pretty good. The weekend's going well, except for this frickin' smoke. Oh my goodness.
Yes. Oh my. Okay. I'm sure everyone has seen us posting this on Twitter and Instagram, but our
Mm-hmm.
entire province is on fire, essentially.
Yeah, and I don't know if
Yeah.
I've already mentioned it on our regular episode this week or not, but apparently the smoke out there is so bad that if you were to stay out all day long without some kind of mask or like respirator on, it's the equivalent of smoking 7 cigarettes.
Yep. That does not surprise me at this point. I
Oh
mean,
man.
last Tuesday we had the absolute worst air in the entire world.
Which is insane for Canada when you think about how kind of sparsely populated we are and everything, but those forest fires and stuff are no joke.
Yeah, so everyone who is affected by them, we are sending you our love. Stay safe out there because it is
Mhm.
rough.
So today we thought we would cover, I think a couple people have asked for it, but specifically my friend Karanda, she suggested we talk about infamous last meals for people on death row.
I love it. Thank you so much for the idea. I know, like Charlotte said, a few folks have kind of loosely mentioned it, but that kind of solidified it. I was like, let's do this. Let's talk
Yeah.
about it. So, Charlotte, I have a question for you.
Mhm.
You were on death row. I don't know what you did, but you're on there.
Okay, okay.
Okay. And they're asking you, what do you want for your last meal? What are you choosing?
Okay, so I think there's 2 ways that I would look at this. The first way is, alright, I can have whatever I want, there's, like, no kind of budget to this kinda thing, like, I'm gonna get the top of the top, and I would probably do, like, steak and crab, a bottle of red wine,
Mhm. Yep.
and just go, like, all out luxury, but recently, because certain inmates were getting pretty outrageous with their, requests, some prisons either did away with it or they kind of limited to a budget of $20 or something.
Florida, it's $40 and everything has to be locally accessible.
Yeah, so if we were playing within those rules, I would keep it real simple. I would just want, like, my mom's shepherd's pie. That's all I'd want, and, like, a cup of tea.
Yeah, honestly, I was thinking about it. If I had no real price limit, I would choose a full 4-course meal from the melting pot with all of, like, I want the lobster tail, I want everything, and I want really good wine, some sangria,
Yes. I'm not
and
going
then
for, like, a Diet Coke or anything, like, I want wine.
no, like, I want, like, whoever's cleaning up the mess afterwards, like, good luck, because I am going to eat my weight in food. But if I have a $40 limit, then it's gonna be a slice of tiramisu
Ooh, good call.
and this amazing, like, not to toot my own horn too much, this wonderful beef stew that I make with homemade dumplings.
I think if you were truly, like, down to it, you would want something that was, like, very homey and very comforting. So
That's
I
where I'm
can
at.
Yeah, totally.
To at least, like, feel that, because when you, like, eat certain food and you just feel, like, happy inside and you feel all, like, just content?
Oh, yeah, I think we all have those comfort foods we go for.
Yeah, I feel like that's where I'd wanna be at.
100%. Yeah, I wouldn't want anything like KFC, like Mr. John Wayne Gacy did.
Ooh.
What did he have? Let me just look at the list. So he had a bucket of chicken, french fries, 12 fried prawns, strawberries, and I think it was like a pound of strawberries or something like that. And the thing about his that surprises me is a Diet Coke to wash it all down. Like, dude, you're on death row. You can have a Coke.
Right? Like, you're allowed to have the extra calories, my guy. You got
Yeah,
this.
it's not gonna make a difference at this point, so go
He
all out.
also here's my question about this. I wonder if this is a comfort thing because he managed 3 different KFC locations.
That's true, the, Colonel was a pretty big part of his life for quite some time, so I wonder if he was trying to keep it on brand?
I know, or is he, like I don't know, I don't think I'd wanna, like I would you wanna be thinking about work right before you die?
No, but I don't think John Wayne Gacy gave a shit about any of that.
I feel like in his mind, it was probably one last opportunity to brag about the fact that he managed 3 KFC locations.
Yeah, because I guarantee you when the guard or whoever, the warden came by and dropped it off, I bet you he was like, I own 3 KFCs." He would have
Mine
been
was
that guy.
better.
Oh, yeah, he'd be like, "Back in my day, we did the fries this way."
Oh my god, you know what? He is such a piece of shit know-it-all, or was such a piece of shit know-it-all, I should say, that that doesn't really surprise me.
No, not at all. Who else we got that's got some wacky last
Hold on,
requests?
I gotta do a loud, page flip here, don't mind me.
Oh, yes.
Sorry.
Dina has the, book, the serial killer's last meal book in
Oh
front of
my
her.
goodness, yes, okay, I should, say this. I'm reading The Serial Killer Cookbook. True crime trivia and disturbingly delicious last meals from death row's most infamous killers and murderers by Ashley Lecker. And a huge thank you to my dear friend Jessica, who got me this as I think it was a Christmas present a while ago. And I guess this is how people think of me, and it
I
is
was gonna
absolutely
say,
fantastic.
she saw that and she's like, "You know who would fucking love this? Dina."
Right? That is, I mean, I appreciate that. I bring that to mind for people. I'll take it.
Absolutely, that's the vibe when you walk into the room, they're like, "That girl, she's gonna like some serial killer trivia."
But I have to say, this is a fabulous book, and if you ever see it, I definitely recommend checking it out because it has, like, all of the recipes, and then it has, like, little tidbits of what they did, and it has, like, pretty good pictures, like, it's a fantastic book.
Love it, love it.
And, this brings me to our next one. We have Peter Curtin, also known as the Vampire of Dusseldorf.
Yes, he's a gnarly one.
Oh my goodness, he is on our list, and honestly, we need to cover him soon because this was a bad dude.
Yes, there was him, and then who else did I think of recently? I think it was the Butcher of Hanover.
Oh, yes.
Those 2, I always kind of relate them, maybe because 'cause they're both German, but, they've got that very much, like, old-timey crimey kind of thing going on for sure.
Right, exactly, and I mean, the big thing about Peter Curtin, for those of you who don't know, is, his head is, at the Ripley's Believe It or Not Museum in Wisconsin.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so, it's preserved. You can look up a picture of it if you'd like. It's the head in a jar. But yeah, that's kinda crazy.
Yeah, there's not too many people that passed away that long ago that we still have preserved in that way, if that makes sense. Typically they're buried or cremated or, buried in a sort of traditional way. There's not too many people we still have samples of.
And it, like honestly, I think of Futurama.
Yes, 100% with all the
Yeah,
presidents and stuff.
yes, and I mean, that's kind of what he looks like, except dead.
Oh, Lord.
Dear Peter was Dear Peter, I don't know why I called him that.
Dearest Peter.
Dear Peter, um, he was executed on July 2nd, 1931. He admitted to a total of 68 crimes, which is unreal, and his victims were just about anybody, like, he didn't really care how old you were, his they ranged from 5 to 80.
Yeah, he did not discriminate when it came to his victims, and he was someone where they had never seen anything quite like him at the time, right? Like, this is the '30s when they finally caught up to him, and it must have been mind-blowing.
Oh, absolutely. It again, this book is phenomenal, but it even says in here that at the trial, he had to sit in a guarded cage to protect him from attacks by the enraged families of his victims,
I
which
bet.
is that reminds me of Andre Chikatilo,
Yes.
which again, maybe when we're ready for him, because that's a big old doozy. That's
Yeah, that one would be
yeah.
a heavy one, but we will get there eventually.
You know what? We'll save that one for the day that we have like research assistants.
Sure, that's a
So
good
we can
one.
put a little bit of that on them too.
Exactly, spread out the misery.
Yes, exactly. Anyway, so Peter was executed by guillotine,
Yeah.
and, before that happened, he had a last meal of 2 portions of Wiener Schnitzel, fried potatoes,
Okay.
and a bottle of white wine.
I feel like that's very simple, but also sounds very like a comfort food, you know, like meat and potatoes.
Right, it's very German.
Very German. Yeah, Wiener Schnitzel, always.
Yep, exactly, just Wiener Schnitzel, potatoes, wine.
Since, I mentioned the Butcher of Hanover, Mr. Fritz Haarmann, he was not told of his execution until the night before, which was the German custom at the time in 1925, and he was granted not a meal per se, but they gave him an expensive cigar and a cup of Brazilian coffee, and he was also put to the guillotine as well. So, I guess in, France and Germany, they were still using the guillotine up until very recently, actually.
Honestly, if you're about to execute me and you're gonna do something nice for me, like, don't give me a coffee, give me some alcohol.
Yeah, I would be having some brandy or something or some whiskey for sure.
I don't wanna be, like, excitable and jittery when I'm about to be executed, like, I'm already probably fucking terrified.
Yeah, I mean, unless he was the kind of person where he was just very, like, stoic about it, if you were in a situation, as in being put to your death, that's gonna cause anxiety, if anything is, and so I feel like a cup of Brazilian coffee is just gonna send your nerves through the roof.
Or again, I keep going back to it, it's gonna cause one hell of a mess afterwards.
Yeah, yeah, you have to consider what, human beings do after they pass away in the first little while, so
Exactly, like, that's the going to executions again, that's what they used to do is when they used to hang numerous people at once, there would be these mushrooms that would grow underneath where they would hang people
that makes
because of their poop.
total sense. Yeah, absolutely. I could, if you were under the, say, like, platform, I could totally see that. It makes perfect sense.
And they were used medicinally.
Right on.
This next one brings us to October 9th, 2002, with a lady that we have spent a lot of time talking about, Eileen Wuornos.
Oh, yeah. We would have talked about it very briefly in those episodes for sure.
Yes, absolutely. So she actually they were going to give her a meal originally, she declined it, and instead she had a hamburger and a few snacks from the canteen and some coffee later that day, and, then she was executed.
Yeah, so she, again, fairly simple for her as well.
Simple lady.
Yeah.
I had
Um,
hamburgers for dinner tonight right before we recorded.
I had pizza, and I was actually
Oh, yum.
surprised while I was scrolling through that I didn't see anybody that suggested pizza for themselves, so,
Hey, yeah, I don't think there's pizza in this book either. I refuse to believe that.
yeah, like, I feel like that pizza is such a good comfort food.
I found it. Philip Workman.
Okay, never heard of him.
Neither have I, actually. Hold on, hold on. It was a veggie pizza, which
Oh.
is an interesting thought. Oh dear. Okay. Interesting. May 9th, 2007, he was convicted of murdering a police officer during a robbery at Wendy's.
Oh, I feel
And
like that rings a bell now.
long story short, he was executed by lethal injection in 2007. He requested that in lieu of a meal for himself, a large vegetarian pizza would be delivered to a homeless person. The state said, "Nope, we're not gonna do that." So
Oh.
instead, citizens across the country sent numerous vegetarian pizzas to shelters in his name.
Wow, that's really interesting. I seem to remember the case, and how he
Yes.
killed a police officer, but I didn't realize, I mean, I haven't looked into him too much 'cause I didn't remember his name or anything, but that seems like, as much as it's never gonna balance out the negativity in this particular case, but it is something kinda wholesome that comes out of a bad situation, and I can appreciate that.
'Cause, I mean, at the end of the day, are you gonna have an appetite?
I don't think I would, TBH.
No. Right, I'm not gonna be feeling, like, munchy.
No, and you know what? I'm the kind of person that shoves down their, emotions a lot of the times, call it healthy, call it toxic, whatever. But I don't think you truly know how you're gonna be in a situation like that unless you're faced with it, and I'd like to think I'd all be stoic and, like, I'd come to terms with it, but in reality, I could have been a sobbing mess, like, who's to really say?
I would be flipping the absolute fuck out. I like, at that point, I don't need to be heroic. I don't need to look good. No, like, I will panic. I'll still be trying to convince them, like, "Hey, what if we don't?"
Well, I think it sort of see, now we're getting kind of philosophical because it's like, did I do the thing that they're accusing me of? Because if I did the thing I've been accused of, then, like, I should probably just shut the fuck up and take my punishment. But if I was unjustly put to execution, I think I would make everybody's life a living hell. Because 'Cause I'm too petty for that shit.
Oh, absolutely. That reminds me of a story I had read a while ago, and it's actually in this book as well, and that's the story of Joe Arity, who,
Yes.
he
Oh.
suffered from mental illness, and he had a very, very low IQ.
Didn't they say that he had sort of the mental capacity of, like, a six-year-old kind of thing?
Yes, and he was known as the happiest killer on no, the happiest person on death row or something like that.
It's so sad, you guys.
Oh, I'll make it so much more sad for you all. He chose some vanilla ice cream, and,
Mhm.
when they went to execute him, he still didn't understand what was happening, and he asked them to save some for later.
Brutal. Oh, that poor guy.
And I
See
do just wanna say one thing, sorry to interrupt.
No, go for it.
He was accused and convicted for murdering a 15-year-old girl. He admitted to the murder, but it was very, very, very widely believed that the confession was a fake confession.
Ugh, man. See, this is why I I'm so gray on the death penalty because you hear
Mhm.
of stories like this and it's like this should never ever have been allowed to happen. This is just incredibly sad and to me this is where the legal system fails people.
To me, honestly, I feel like one case of this happening is enough for the death penalty to not exist. You know what
I
I mean?
completely
Like,
agree. Yep.
if there is even the tiniest, tiniest chance that you're gonna be executing an innocent person, you just shouldn't have that thing. Although I maintain we have talked about quite a few people who are the reason the death penalty exists. One of
Yes.
them being, and I hate to mention his name, Danny Rolling.
Oh, yeah, he just had to come up today, didn't he?
He's gonna haunt us forever, like, we just can't escape him. I feel like he comes up every few episodes. Okay,
Anyway,
listen.
what was his last meal? Lay it
Oh, it's
on
gonna
me.
piss you off so much. Are you ready for this? Okay, so we already all know what we did. I'm not even gonna repeat it. If you don't know what Danny Rolling did and why we hate him so much, just go listen to the episodes. You'll hate your life for a little bit for it, and then you can just go outside and play with puppies. Okay, so Danny Rolling, executed on October 25th, 2006, had a last meal of lobster tail,
That's right, he did.
butterfly shrimp, baked potato, strawberry cheesecake, and sweet tea.
See, that son of a bitch shouldn't be allowed.
No, you don't. Oh, like, his last meal should be like poorly steamed broccoli that smells like farts
Yeah.
and bland chicken with burnt coffee, all cold.
I'm you know, I feel like when it comes to people on death row, there's a certain amount of compassion involved, but
Mhm.
I'm surprised actually that they even bother at all with these last meal requests because I feel like one, like you say, after the person has passed away, it can mean for more cleanup. And I'm surprised they would even waste the money for someone that's
Well,
gonna
I
die.
you see these interviews of people who have worked on death row, and they talk about it all the time. Sometimes you have someone who is sitting on death row for 25 years. So let's
Very
say
true.
you start your career when they've been sentenced and they get on death row, you get on death row essentially too as someone working there. That
Mhm.
25 years is your whole career until they
Very
get
true.
executed. You have 25 years of getting to know this person. And as terrible as they are, as horrible as they are, I'm sure it can be difficult to not develop some sort of a relationship with that person. I'm sure at the end of the day, there's that desire to or I feel like probably in the interviews that I've seen, a lot of them talk about having that responsibility of I have this person's last moments in my hands. There's a certain level of respect that has to go into it, which again, Danny Rolling didn't deserve any respect. They could have just thrown him into the sea.
Well, I think an interesting perspective on it is during, or I guess just after World War II, when they were executing all the Nazi war criminals, they were hanging them, right? And oh, I've forgotten his name, but the executioner, it was his job. He performed all the hangings. And I think there's sort of this anecdote, or in his diaries or something, he talks about how an officer was like, hurry up, hurry up, hurry up. Like, we don't have time for this. And the executioner said, "No, we have time for all of them. They have paid their due. We now care for them because that's my job is to care for them afterwards. So we're not going to disrespect their corpses," kind of thing.
Yeah, and there's a certain level of, again, respect that goes into that as a job. So, like, I don't agree that he deserved to have that great of a last meal, but I can see where they're coming from, I guess.
Yeah, and I think it's just the point of just because you sort of gave up your humanity by doing what you did doesn't mean that I need to give up mine just because I'm around you.
Exactly. That's very well said. I like that.
Not to get too deep on what was supposed to be a slightly more lighthearted
Oh my
episode,
god,
but
honestly, yeah, we were gonna do this completely lighthearted.
when we're talking about these kind of things, it's bound to get a little gloomy once in a while.
Exactly. Should I mention him, Charlotte? Should I?
Are we talking about Mr. Bundy?
You know we are. Alright, you know what? January 24th, 1989, they executed him, and, he didn't request a final meal, but they gave him steak, eggs, hash browns, toast with butter and jelly, milk, coffee, and juice, which it seems like overkill. He didn't eat any of it.
See, it makes me kind of angry when a shitbag like Ted Bundy gets a better meal than what you get on an airplane, you know?
That's a good meal.
It's a damn good meal. I would eat all of that, to be honest with you. And then I think he declined it probably because he's an arrogant psychopath narcissist that's like, "Fuck you, I'm not eating this meal that you made for me. I told you I didn't want anything."
Yeah, exactly. That's so bratty. That's exactly what I pictured too. I
Yeah,
hate
he
him
would have
so
been
much.
like, "This is beneath me, like, get this away from me."
This is kind of going in a little bit of a different direction, but I've got the last meal of Adolf Hitler.
Oh, very interesting. Lay it on me.
Yeah. Okay. I don't like it.
Oh, no, what did he have?
Spaghetti and red sauce.
That seems so remarkably
Bland?
vanilla. Yeah.
Yeah.
For the Führer.
Right? Like
Um,
I feel like he would have eaten something a little bit more.
High class, shall we
Yes,
say?
thank you.
Like,
Yes, exactly. Like that just I that isn't what I would have guessed for him.
no, not at all. I would have imagined maybe something more, like, traditionally German since he was obviously very proud of his heritage, you know, like,
He would have had
um
the wiener schnitzel in my mind.
yes, 100%. That sounds so odd to me, and I mean, you know, it was cyanide and a gunshot for old Adolf, but that surprises me very much. It wouldn't have even occurred to me that he would have gone for pasta.
I'd almost rather, like, not eat. If that was
And
offered to me for my last meal, I'd be like, "I'm good."
Yeah, I'd probably skip on that one. To be fair, this is just like a silly little quirk that I have, but I love pasta, hate spaghetti. I don't know
What?
what it is. I do not like the noodle spaghetti. If you put the, like, bolognese or whatever in any other form, fine. I cannot stand spaghetti noodles.
So what kind of pasta are we talking about here then?
Oh, anything else, literally. I like fettuccine, which is just flat fucking spaghetti,
What?
but yeah, anyway.
Wow, that is probably the most messed up thing you've said in the entirety of this show.
Tell me you're neurodivergent without telling me you're
Oh my
neurodivergent.
god, I love it. I love it.
Mm.
Oh,
Anyway, one that kind of made me chuckle a little bit, this one's for all you Lord of the Rings fans out there. Ronnie Lee Gardner was put to death in Utah by firing squad. He was sentenced to death for burglary, robbery, and 2 counts of murder. For his last meal, he went big as well, steak, a lobster tail, apple pie, vanilla ice cream, and he wanted to eat it all while while watching the entire Lord of the Rings trilogy. I mean, that would really, help you pass your last day, for sure.
I mean, would you wanna extend it like that, or would you wanna just get it over with? Like, I don't know, I feel like that would
Well, something tells me the guards didn't allow him to watch the entire extended edition Blu-ray, so
Can
at
you
least
imagine
yeah,
that
it's like,
request being put in, they're just like, "No."
yeah, it's like, "Ronnie, we don't have 27 hours, my guy. Like, tomorrow's the day."
We're not putting this out any longer, sorry, bro.
Oh, yeah, it part of me makes me wonder if he just was, like, really fucking into The Lord of the Rings. Hey, I absolutely get it. Or if he's just like, "What is something that will take up my entire time left on this earth?"
Exactly, how can we drag this out as much as possible?
Yeah, I mean, I guess if we're playing by that rule, what would you want the last movie that you watched to be?
The Labyrinth.
Oh, good choice. I'm
Oh,
trying to
yeah,
think of what
without question, that would yeah, I would want that to be the last movie I watch.
I think then I would pick Singing in the Rain because that's just my, like, favorite of all time, has been since
Good.
I was a kid, still love it. I think that's what I would go for, which sounds like something from a movie. I feel like I can imagine, in sort of a Green Mile kind of setting, like, this little prisoner sitting in his cell watching Singing in the Rain on, like, a little TV.
Yours comes across so much classier because that's exactly what I picture, and then for mine, I just picture Mila just, like, laughing at Bowie's bulge in my final moments and being like,
Oh my god, but it's a good one though. Fuck, I haven't seen The Labyrinth in ages. I need to add that to my list of things to watch.
I listen to the soundtrack at least 2 or 3 times a week, every
Oh,
week.
iconic,
Yeah, I
iconic.
I recommend it on the way to work.
I love it.
Just do it. It will put you in a fabulous mood.
Anybody else we wanna talk to? 'Cause or talk about, because we could always do a part 2 of this too. Because I mean, there's tons of people to talk about.
I wanna put this out to our listeners. If you I don't know what you did, listener, but you did something, you're on death row, they're about to execute you. What do you choose for your last meal and why?
Yeah, yeah, maybe we'll throw a tweet out there. You guys will have to jump on that and let us know.
Because here's the thing too, I can never decide what I wanna eat.
Oh, dude, what Cody will be like, "What do you want for dinner?" And I just look at him and be like, "Dude, we've been together for 14 years. You know the answer to this question. I don't know."
I what I want for dinner is to not decide.
We
I
were
want
just
food to
talking
just appear in front of me.
Yeah, we were just talking the other day about how, food is so much better when someone else makes it for you.
Mhm, yes, absolutely. Also,
Uh,
with that, if, any of you have a last meal story that you want us to discuss, let us
mhm.
know. We are also still accepting a few more submissions for our next part of Grim Encounters. So if you have a story of something wild or unexplained that you want to share with us, email it to thegrimcurriculum@gmail.com because we want to hear it.
Yes, we love reading your guys' stories because so far there's been I mean, they were all fantastic.
Oh, exactly, and it's I love reading them because some of them I just read and I get goosebumps and I wanna know more, you know what I mean? Like, I love
Mhm.
hearing everyone has that one story, I feel like.
Or they know someone who does, right? Like,
Exactly, exactly, and it's one of my favorite things is, like, that feeling of just sitting there around, like, a campfire and telling scary stories and just getting into that, like, scared mood. Ugh, love it.
so to wrap up, we're gonna keep it in with the unusual deaths theme, and this time we're going all the way back to 622, 621 BC to ancient
Ooh.
Greece. His name was Draco, and he was one of the first sort of lawmakers of ancient Athens. What little we do know about his life, because literally thousands of years ago, he was so well loved that his life was chronicled by kind of like a folklore story. And allegedly, he was so well loved that all his supporters threw so many hats and shirts and cloaks on his head that he suffocated.
Death by presents.
Death by presents. The truth about his death is still a little unclear just because it was so long ago, but it is widely interpreted that that is how Draco of Athens met his end.
I choose to believe it.
So with that, shall we wrap up for this episode? If you guys wouldn't mind giving us a 5-star rating wherever you can rate us, Spotify really likes it when you do that. And if you are not subscribed to our YouTube channel already, we would appreciate that as well. The more of you there are listening to us, the more we do well, especially for YouTube's algorithm. So that is really, really appreciated.
I feel like we're constantly just battling some kind of algorithm, so please help us with this battle, friends.
It's a never-ending, always changing battle too.
It is.
I guess speaking of social media, if you'd like to follow the podcast to keep up on all the news, you can follow us at the Grim Curriculum on Instagram and Grim Curriculum over on Twitter. We're on Facebook and TikTok as well.
Yeah, check it all out. Check out our personal stuff too, if that floats your boat. But most importantly, consider interacting with the posts, show them love, because again, algorithms are a bitch, and we love love.
Thanks so much for joining us today, you guys. This has been the Grim Curriculum
Extra
Extra
credit.
Credit.